Hello and welcome to the Created to Create show. Today I have with me Adam from all the way from Tasmania. How are you, Adam?
Good. Really good. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I am a science fiction and fantasy author based in Launceston in northern Tasmania. I have a wife and two adult children, and my main book series is called Jewel of the Stars. You'll see some covers there behind me. So that keeps me pretty busy, along with day job and church responsibilities and family, dad's taxi, all those kinds of things.
Uh-huh. Life. Life still
Mm,
happens for authors.
yep.
So tell us, what are you working on at the moment?
So right now, I'm co-editing an anthology with the sci-fi and fantasy Amiga Writers chapter that I'm a part of. That's been a really interesting learning experience for me. I'm not a professional editor, so I've kind of been figuring out how to do this along the way. It helps that we've got two other people who are we're all kind of working as a team. So that's taking the majority of my writing time and energy this year. So lots of reading other people's stories and giving feedback and making suggestions. When I'm not doing that, I'm working on the fourth book in my Jewel of the Stars series. So each book in the series is a 30,000 word novella. So they're a nice kind of short read. I've actually drafted the first six many years ago. So I'm slowly making my way through revising and publishing them one at a time.
And you're an
Yeah.
indie publisher, hey? You publish
I
yourself?
am, yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. And you enjoy that process?
I do,
Learning.
yeah. Just yeah, the activities of publishing, uploading the manuscript into Amazon and the various other stores, doing the formatting in Atticus. I quite enjoy all those processes. So yeah, I think it's a good fit for me.
Yeah, cool. I wish I enjoyed it all more. That side.
I
I
don't
like,
enjoy the editing or the marketing, so
yeah, I don't mind the
you got to
editing.
do those regardless. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. And I think we all need to get better at marketing in some way, shape, or
Mm,
form.
yep.
What does your creative routine look like?
So as a writer, I'd categorize myself as a methodological plotter. So I'm pretty heavy into outlining. I like to plan out my story. I'll be thinking about it for a long time while I'm working on other things, and I like to make out a fairly detailed outline before I start the first draft. And I really like systems like the three act story structure, character arcs, and scene structure, all those kind of things. I find those really useful for kind of enhancing my creativity. Yeah, I just find them to be good tools to help me create a better product.
Mm.
Some people can just kind of naturally do that themselves without the tools, but that feels like magic to me. So yeah, I find those tools really, really helpful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Hmm.
I love learning about those tools. I find them
Hmm.
cumbersome. I
Yeah.
do think it does, you're right, it does enhance, definitely enhances my writing when I am more
Hmm.
aware of all that structure.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, I'm such a pantser. So
Yep.
you're not a pantser.
No,
I write.
I've dabbled a little bit with it, but whenever I try and pants a story, I'm just not happy with it. And
Yeah,
I'd rather put in that extra time up front in the outlining rather than put that extra effort in the editing side.
yeah. I wish I was like that. Yeah.
Mm.
It takes me ages to edit because it's such a mess at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm.
I'm learning. Thank you. Maybe,
Yeah.
okay, planning. How's your personal journey influenced your writing?
Yeah, so I say that my writing is influenced by three things. It's my imagination, my life experiences, and my faith. So I'm a big fan of Star Trek. So that's always been a big influence in my own writing. I read a lot. I watch a lot. I try to take in and take inspiration from other things. In terms of my experiences, I remember my parents when they took their first cruise. I was really captivated by that idea. I really wanted to do a cruise myself, and I've since taken my family on two cruises, but at the time that was just a bit of a dream. But because I'm this big Star Trek nerd, and Star Trek was heavily influenced by the US Navy, but also by the sailing ship adventures like Horatio Hornblower. Whenever I hear about anything nautical, my mind always goes, but what about that, but in space? So,
Okay.
so when my parents were taking this cruise, I immediately started to think, what about a cruise ship? But instead of going through the ocean, taking to other countries, it took you to other planets. So
Mm,
that was the big inspiration for the premise of my Jewel of the Stars series.
mm,
And then, while I was writing that first book, I was going through some things in my life. I was made redundant at work, which is a really scary experience. So I gave that as a backstory to one of my characters, that she just lost her job, and she hadn't worked up the courage to tell her family yet on this cruise, which they'd kind of already paid for. So might as well go on it. So that led to some interesting conflict there. I say that I write stories about ordinary people in fantastical situations.
mm,
Um, so another one that I was kind of working through in my life at the time was struggling with how to effectively be the parent of an autistic child, and the different unique challenges that brought. So that was another character trait that I gave this character. Um, so these kinds of real world things, I try to put into my stories. I say we often come to these kind of stories for the spaceships and the aliens, but you stay for the human drama because that's what fiction is really about. It's about people.
the characters. Hmm.
Yeah. And then the most important one, I guess, is my faith, because that's such an important part of my life and who I am. I'm not writing specifically for a Christian audience. Uh, uh, my audience is actually split pretty much 50-50 between Christians and non-Christians, um, which is a pretty cool situation, I think, to be in. But yeah, I mean, because my faith is a big part of me and my worldview, it's naturally going to worm its way into my stories. What I am actively trying to do is to give, I guess, an accurate and kind of positive depiction of what I think a Christian really is. Because what we often see in fiction today, especially in science fiction, um, often they'll just, you know, religion and Christianity will be completely ignored as like it's not in that world at all. Or if it does exist, it'll often be a fairly negative stereotype in the way that the Christians are portrayed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just trying to show, well, here's what I think a Christian is. This is a grace-filled, loving, compassionate person, also deeply flawed, um, because if we weren't, we wouldn't need Jesus. Um, yeah, so I have a character, the doctor on my ship, is a Christian. So I try to incorporate her her worldview naturally into the story when appropriate. I look at TV shows like Firefly and Babylon 5, which were both written by devout atheists, um, but they incorporated Christian characters into their stories, in a natural kind of way, and yeah, they actually did a better job than we do sometimes. So yeah, so
Oh,
that's kind of the approach I'm trying to take with that.
awesome. Fantastic. Yeah.
Hmm.
So when you're writing, how do you hold that tension between light and dark, truth and
Hmm.
fiction?
So, I mean, I'm writing from a premise which, could be considered a fairly dark premise. The very beginning of my story, Earth has been invaded and has fallen to that invasion. Um, so we're looking at a small community of people who are on the run. They don't know if they'll ever see home again. They don't know if they'll ever see their families again. And I do enjoy dark stories, but for me, there always has to be that element of hope at the end. And so, yeah, I'm always trying to inject that hope. And the tone of my stories is not overly dark, but it definitely has that premise there. And I don't shy away from exploring the realities of that because life can be a fairly dark place sometimes. But I always like to portray that sense of hope that you know, there is something better that
Yeah,
we can
absolutely.
look forward to.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. You're making me want to read your books now. I don't tend to read sci-fi,
Yeah,
but yeah, sounds
yeah.
very.
I mean,
You got me.
and that's the marketing challenge because I think the kinds of books I write, a lot of people who, may not usually pick up a science fiction book would probably enjoy them. But it's just finding a
Yeah.
way to get that message across. I mean, yes, there are lots of aliens and spaceships and space battles and things, But yeah, there's a lot of
Just need
things
you
that
to tell more people about them so they
yeah.
reach like I am right now.
Mm,
Uh, so before we go, do you have any words of wisdom that you would like to impart on people who are thinking about writing a book or have just started writing and they're
mm.
not sure what to do?
Yeah, so I would recommend to anyone who's thinking of getting into writing or is just starting to learn about three things: story structure, character arc, and point of view. If you can get a handle on those three things, then I think you'll be set up to be able to tell a really good story that really connect with people. And yeah, I mean, you may not be a an outliner like me with all the crazy stuff I do up front, but understanding how a character arc works, I think puts you in a good position to be able to write that by the seat of your pants because you got that innate understanding of it now. And there's a lot of free resources out on the internet these days where you can learn these things. Some
Any
names I
favorite?
could suggest would be like K.M. Wyland
Okay,
and Abby Emmons. There's lots of good teachers out there. Yeah,
awesome.
so.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you for
and I guess just finding a writing community as well. Some other people that you can talk about writing with, share your writing and give each other feedback is also a good way to grow.
yeah, places like Amiga Writers.
Yep,
Yeah,
definitely.
I'll pop that in the show notes so people can jump in if they
Hmm.
want to have a look and see what
Yep.
Amiga Writers is all
Mm.
about.
Yeah.
Thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you today, Adam. Thank you for jumping on my show
Yeah. That's been a pleasure.
and looking forward to reading your books now.
Mm. Sounds good.